So welcome to our channel. This is Joshua.
And Kat. We're glad to have you at J&K Go Global. We appreciate you stopping by. We have another subject to kind of gab about, but before we do that, please consider subscribing, like, share with friends and family, all that good stuff, so we can grow our channel because it's growing in baby steps, and we appreciate every single follow. Okay, so what are we talking about today, babe?
It's kind of informal discussion on finding a place to live outside of your home country. So I think I'm going to start small and go bigger, but right now, and just going from personal experience, we're in Phnom Penh, Cambodia right now. It's the capital city. It's the biggest city in Cambodia. So it has a lot of neighborhoods. It has millions of people, I think over 2 million. So there's lots of neighborhoods to choose from. So within this city, there's different neighborhoods with different vibes. So it really is important to choose a neighborhood that works for you because different people appreciate different things. We've met people who regret living in certain neighborhoods and end up moving to different ones. And then on a larger scale, choosing the city to live in. So you have the neighborhood within the city, then you have just the city itself. You have the country itself, you have the continent. There's lots of choices to make. And for me, it was pretty easy to choose a region because I've been interested in Southeast Asia for several decades. But I also had to kind of do my homework. I originally wanted to move to Thailand. And over the years, like Thailand has, I don't want to say gone downhill, but like I said, everybody kind of has their areas that they care about. And I wanted to move to a country where it's more authentic. It's not like overrun by tourists and expats. And Thailand really went down that road over the past couple of decades where, there's so many expats living there that so you relocate all the way from the U.S. and then you're kind of still surrounded by Westerners.
Well, I think that's with social media taking a hold of that, because what happens is that people start putting out like videos of like, if you move to Thailand, you'll be able to do this, you'll be able to do that.
Yeah.
And I think areas like people pay attention to that. They pay attention to these advisory things and like how they say it's easy to do this.
And some are probably funded by different organizations, almost definitely. Well, some have even admitted they are. They're invited to certain places by like the Ministry of Tourism and things like that, and then they produce their videos based on that.
Yeah, we had mentioned before the specifics of like when you're trying to decide on where to go, like thinking about with your age, if you're retired, if you're still working, if you're a digital nomad, if you've got kids, all of these things play a part in your decision, or they should play a part in your decision, because you do not want to move somewhere where it does not have what you need as far as your essentials. Of course, you can move somewhere else, but the hoops you have to jump through, you want to be a little more.
Yeah, you should probably have like a little list and maybe even write it down or type it up, because you may really want to live on a beach, but you may have some chronic health issues, or if you're getting older in general, you may want to be closer to, good health care. So you have to keep that in mind. You don't want to live in a beach community where there isn't good health care. You have to, there's usually some give and take with everything. So you don't want to like lose track of what's important to you. We're all different. Some of us work online. Some are looking for brick and mortar jobs. Some are retired. So there's, lots of different requirements depending on your situation.
Yeah, and you want to make sure that you're set up financially in some way, because we've met people that have moved even to Cambodia where they're in Phnom Penh or Phnom Penh, and they did not prepare themselves fiscally, and so the stress of like, even with the lower price of living or lower cost of living, still having stressors because of that.
So, and they actually don't just stress out themselves, they stress out those around them. Like because I was traveling on a major budget. We're not made of money. We relocated on a budget. And he was one of my course mates. I took a course on it's called TESOL, so teaching English. And he was pretty much starving. I think he was eating like one meal every other day. So, being a human, I tried to help him out, but I was also on a strict budget. He wasn't asking for help, but he was still talking about his situation. So in a way, that's almost asking for help. If you're around people who are decent humans and you're talking about your bad situation, a lot of people are going to help you. Yeah. So it creates a bad situation for a lot of people.
Because people are different. Like people are like, I'm going to move somewhere and I'm just going to make it happen. When you're moving to a different country, it's on a different level, especially if it's a different language. There's all of these things that you have to kind of acclimate to. And if you're not like, we've like sold everything and relocated in the States, and we've started businesses from the ground up many times and like had things happen and rebuilt the business and all of that. But I don't know if I would have been able to have that success if I was trying to do that in a different country, just without the groundwork and without the familiarity of like how things work, it would have been more difficult. So yeah, you definitely, once you get set and you're like, okay, this checks all of the boxes as far as like, I think I've got my right footing. This is where I want to try. We've got my visa, like, to whatever type of visa you set up to go to that country. So you're here, you arrive. And so do you have a recommendation, like, because, whether or not to find how a temporary place, because a lot of people say, especially when trying to decide what area in Phnom Penh,
yeah, a lot
getting
of people,
like getting a very short term spot to stay. Like we did an Airbnb and then we did
doing a short-term spot and really networking. Honestly, I did a ton of research and I helped some people find their neighborhoods because a lot of people arrived here. It was really interesting. They had no idea about the different neighborhoods. They did very little, if any, research. And I know people who made big mistakes. They signed leases in neighborhoods that turned out to be terrible, where if they did a little research, they would have known. And I mean, just flat out terrible, where, they're unsafe and out in the middle of nowhere. And, sometimes, like right now, like I like our neighborhood, but we're talking about if we do stay in Phnom Penh, we're considering another neighborhood. There's different options for us here. But I know some people who live out in interesting areas where, they might be, I mean, maybe if their goal is just to pay as little as possible to live in an apartment. But for me, for us, we want to find a balance where we're living well and also on a budget.
Yeah, because we kind of did the thing where we kind of like certain areas and we would call the number or WhatsApp or Telegram, person, and then we go see it, and we saw what a $250 apartment is.
That's the other video we were going to do.
Oh, we're going to do another video
on apps.
On apps, yeah. It's just we saw what that gets you. Now, depending on the area, and that's Phnom Penh, that's what you get in Phnom Penh, and you add 150, 200 to that, and it could totally change where you're living. But that's something that, like, because we're like, before we're like, okay, we're just gonna walk around, see if something because people would recommend that. They're like, oh, you like this area, just walk around and like.
Some people recommend getting an agent and some people recommend walking around. I wouldn't recommend either one at this point. I think, you find a neighborhood, you always do your research and always like spend a little time there. Even if you get an Airbnb for a week in a neighborhood, it'll give you a pretty good taste. And then to just pinpoint buildings, if you're looking for an apartment, that's what I'm talking about. We're in a big city, like I mentioned, so most likely you're going to live in an apartment here. So it's I just recommend here, like just finding buildings that you like, and then you just go visit the building and talk to management there.
Because one thing you have to remember, and we learned this is a lesson learned. with agents, a lot of times they want to go show you, they want to take you to buildings that they have an affiliation with because there's a certain incentive that they have for you renting at that particular building. They usually have some kind of arrangement with management, and it's their deal, that's their deal. But you have to keep that in mind. Like if you see places and you're like, you want to go see it, that agent's not necessarily going to go show you that place because they don't have a previous relationship with them. So they want you to rent somewhere that they're affiliated with. So we learned that. We learned that lesson. So,
and then so just really quickly to try to explain what I meant by like neighborhoods, cities, countries, regions. So, you know, let's just quickly go through Phnom Penh. Like you can, if you want like a very affordable, nice new apartment in a inexpensive sort of suburban area, you could go to Tul Kork. If you want some nightlife and some character and sort of a hipster existence, then you're looking at Russian Market, Tul Tampang. That's where we are now. If you want to be close to the water in the city, you know, Riverside is an option. There's a few other options too. So it just kind of depends on what you want, what you're looking for. If, of course, if you want to be close to, if you work at a school, a lot of people teach here. You know, you may want to live close to the school. That's a good lifestyle. If you can go home during lunch, that's kind of nice.
So you get like a temporary place and then you try and find something closer. But did you say BKK 1?
No, that's another one. Yeah,
BKK 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah, there's
and that's abbreviations for
it.
Do you know
no, I forget the name of like what the BKK stands for. Nobody ever says it. It's just BKK 1, 2, and 3.
But like BKK 1 is like the you know, it's a little bit elevated, and
it's more expensive.
It's very,
it's where a lot of ambassadors live, and
so there's definitely
wealthier people. BKK 2 is where the Genocide Museum is. BKK 3 is actually, I might have that backwards. I think BKK 3 is where the Genocide Museum is. BKK 2 is pretty interesting. It's sort of in between like Dawn Penn, where Riverside is, and Russian Market, where we are now. But anyway,
I'm very bad at logistics.
But I need to make my point because so you choose, you know, on the smaller scale, you choose your neighborhood within the city. You choose your city within the country. Like Phnom Penh's the big sort of economic hub of the country. So if you're looking for, you know, starting a business, or if you want lots of available jobs to choose from, Phnom Penh's a place. If you're more like retirement age or digital nomad, Siem Reap could be better for you. If you want to be in a quieter area close to the river, you could be in Kampot. If you want to be on the beach, you could be in Koh Rong. And then the different countries, you know, you're going to choose between, if you want to be in Southeast Asia, you're choosing between maybe Vietnam, Thailand, Cambodia. So you probably want to visit those different countries before you make your choice.
Hopefully, if time allows and things allow, we'll be able to show you some of these other places. In addition,
and then if maybe Southeast Asia isn't your jam, you may want to try, you know, South Korea, Japan. And then if Asia is not your jam, you may want to try, you know, Eastern Europe or Africa or South America. So, you know, do a lot of research, do a little bit of travel. You can really do it on a budget. Again, trust me, like I spent less traveling than I would have spent if I were staying in the US. So really, you can, but you need to be resourceful and you need to be willing to live like a local and all that kind of stuff. And I did that. So, and we can answer questions if you have any.
Yeah, please. If there's something that you're interested in, or if you have questions about it, just comment or comment, subscribe, comment, so that we can share whatever wisdom we're learning, whatever things that we're learning.
Yeah, we're still new.
Because
we're still
trial and error.
It's been less than a year.
Yeah, less than a year for Josh, and I've only been here since the third week of February, so not a lot. You know, I haven't been here that long, but you know, especially if you live like a local, or you can just like you try and stay like where you're not detached and you want to learn more about a place. It encourages you, especially if people have questions about it and they're curious about it. it'll help us, because then we're like, what are people wanting to know, especially if you're considering like relocating, not necessarily even in Cambodia, because some of these things can translate, I think.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Did you want to mention anything else? We're going to keep sharing these videos about our experiences and things, and we would love it if you have something that you'd like us to cover, to let us know.
No, just
Reach out.
do your research. Don't be fooled by like, Instagram friendly posts where, they can make almost any area look beautiful. If something is like very trendy on YouTube, that could be actually like a red flag that everybody's flocking there. So like a city like Da Nang, Vietnam is so popular now.
Mm-hmm.
So you may want that. So that could be a plus. So you just have to kind of know what you want, do your research. Once you're here, once you've like sort of spent a little time maybe traveling and you choose your place, then try to network, and when you network, if you can meet some local people
Mm-hmm.
and some expats
Mm-hmm.
and learn from them. And that's what I recommend. It's been great for
we
us.
found some videos where the people are like, oh, living in so and so, blah, 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 but they're not really there that long. So it's like the advice that they're giving, we're like,
It turns out that they weren't. For every video, they're like, we live in South Africa, and then a month later they say they live in Georgia, the country. And so I was asking them, like, do you really live there, or are you slow traveling? And they started sort of fessing up that they don't live there, because living somewhere is a lot different than just slow traveling. Like when you live somewhere, you have to get long-term visas, maybe become a permanent resident, get a work permit. It's very, very different.
And we realize that people,
accounts.
We realize that people like, they're doing, it's more of a nomadic lifestyle, and they're trying out these different places. And I think that they're, they are offering up some valuable information for some of the places. But we just want to, while we're here, we want to offer up the best that we can while we're here.
Yeah.
Long term or what. Okay, guys, thank you so much for watching. If you watched it to this far, please, please, please subscribe, as we've mentioned before.
Okay, she said thank you. I say Arkun.
I always say thanks for watching because I put that in the video. Okay, Arkun.
Arkun.
Thank you, guys. See you soon.
We're gonna be like, press this fast. Every video.
Okay.
Yeah. So how do I start it?
You say hello, welcome to our channel. This is.
Hello, welcome to our channel. This is Joshua.
Let's start it over. Let me give it a pause. Okay.